You know, it's kind of wild to think about, but what if a totally routine medical procedure, something happening in thousands of hospitals as we speak, is actually a window into the fundamental nature of reality? Okay, let's dive into this, because today we're going to uncover a profound physics experiment that's hiding in the one place you would never ever expect to find it, inside a PET scanner.
And yeah, that's not an exaggeration. Every single PET scan is a physics experiment hiding in plain sight. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of this medical tech to reveal a universal truth about matter and energy, one that connects a patient in a hospital bed to the very heart of our own galaxy.
All right, so what's really happening inside your body during one of these scans? It is so much more than just taking a picture. It's this active process of, believe it or not, creation and annihilation. And it all starts with something they call a tracer. So on the surface, PET just stands for Positron Emission Tomography, and doctors use it to see how your body's actually functioning, on a metabolic level. It's incredible for finding things like cancer or checking brain activity. But the real story, the secret sauce, is in how it all works. The whole process is just fascinating. First, this tracer they inject starts emitting positrons, which are the antimatter version of electrons right there inside the patient's body. Now, a positron doesn't get very far before it bumps into its exact opposite, an electron. And the result? Annihilation. They don't just collide, they vanish. And in their place, poof, two gamma rays of pure energy fly out in perfectly opposite directions. A ring of detectors then catches these rays to build that 3D map. So let's just pause on that for a second. The crucial point here is that every single data point a PET scanner collects comes from an event where matter and antimatter literally cease to exist and become pure energy. This is a direct conversion, happening millions of times a second inside a person. But this whole process has a very, very specific signature.
And that right there leads us to our central mystery. See, it doesn't matter who the patient is, what hospital they're in, or what tracer is being used. The gamma rays always have an energy of precisely 511 kilo-electron volts, or keV. Now that's just a unit for measuring energy for tiny particles. But why that exact number? Why isn't it just random? Well, the answer is one of the most beautiful and elegant truths in all of physics.
And to unlock this universal number, we don't need a super collider or some fancy state-of-the-art physics lab. Nope, all we need is the most famous equation ever written.
This number, 511 keV, this is our key. It is a universal constant, the unique energy fingerprint that's left behind every single time an electron meets its end.
And the answer, of course, comes from the man himself, Albert Einstein. E equals mc squared. We've all seen it a million times, but a PET scan is one of the clearest, most direct, real-world applications of it you will ever find. It's not theoretical, it's diagnostic.
The math here is actually surprisingly simple. You just take m, which is the known mass of a single electron, a ridiculously tiny number. You multiply it by c squared, the speed of light squared, a mind-bogglingly huge number. And what do you get? The energy equivalent of that electron's mass, exactly 511 keV. So when an electron and a positron annihilate, their combined mass gets converted into two gamma rays, each one carrying that precise amount of energy away. And this just brilliantly shows that Einstein's famous formula isn't some dusty relic on a chalkboard. It is the engine that's humming away inside every single PET facility on the planet. It's this constant, predictable, measurable event happening billions of times a day in hospitals. The math works, period. But what's the story behind the math? The equation, you see, it gives us the what, but it doesn't really give us the why. So to get a more intuitive feel for what's actually going on, we can look at it through this different lens called motion theory. It doesn't change the math one bit, but it gives us this powerful new way to visualize the story behind it all.
So, the core idea is really simple. What if mass and energy aren't different things at all, but they're just two different forms of one fundamental quantity, motion? In this view, what we normally call mass is actually locked motion, like a tiny, stable loop of swirling energy. And what we call energy is freed motion. It's the rhythm that gets released when that loop collapses. And the speed of light, see? That's just the max sync rate. It's the universe's ultimate speed limit for that rhythm.
Okay, so let's reimagine that annihilation event with this new language. An electron is a loop of motion spinning one way. A positron is its perfect mirror image, a loop spinning the other way. So when they meet, they don't just disappear. Their opposite structures perfectly cancel each other out. The loops collapse.
So what happens when that structure, that locked motion, is suddenly gone?
Well, the motion itself doesn't just vanish. It can't. It's released as pure rhythm, shooting outwards at the universe's max sync rate. It becomes light. The 511 keV isn't just a quantity of energy anymore. It's the specific, unique rhythm of the electron's collapsed loop.
And this is where things get truly mind-blowing. This specific rhythm, this 511 keV signal, it isn't just stuck inside hospitals. No, this is a signal that echoes across the entire cosmos. So this number, it's not just a medical data point, it's a cosmic fingerprint. You can think of it as the universe's calling card, broadcasted anytime an electron and positron transform back into pure motion. And we see this signal everywhere. We see it in hospitals with every single PET scan, sure. But get this, astronomers also detect a powerful 511 keV glow shining from the center of the Milky Way, a clear sign of massive, natural antimatter annihilation. Physicists even use this super reliable signal to calibrate their most sensitive detectors. It is truly a universal benchmark. And this is the real heart of the motion theory perspective. The 511 keV signal isn't arbitrary, because the structure it comes from, the electron itself, isn't arbitrary. It is the inherent, unchangeable rhythm that's released when the locked motion of an electron is finally set free.
So, let's bring this all together. What is the big, profound takeaway from connecting your local hospital to the center of our galaxy?
I think it's best to think of it like this. Einstein's E=mc² gives us the flawless formula. That's the what. But motion theory offers us the intuitive story. That's the why. It's this narrative of collapsing loops and freed rhythm that helps us actually feel what that famous equation really means.
And just like that, we come full circle. That quiet, humming machine in the imaging wing of your local hospital isn't just looking for disease. It is, with every single detection it makes, providing evidence for one of the most profound ideas imaginable, that the apparent difference between solid matter and radiant energy is just an illusion.
Mass and energy are simply two states, locked and free, of the very same fundamental thing. It's a quiet, constant, universal dance, proving over and over and over again that everything is motion.